let's just go to Dallas today and have dinner and do something fun. And then, something, you're listening to music, having conversation, and then all of a sudden an idea hits you about one of the properties, one of the listings you have, and you're like, oh, hey, what about? And then all of a sudden you're back in work mode, and you're like, oh.
This is Spilling the Real Tea, a podcast by Sold in a Snap.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Spilling the Real Tea. I'm your host, Eric Johnson, and today I'm so excited to have a couple guests with me, and we're going to talk about everything marriage and the MLS, the truth about working together. Welcome, Valerie and Thomas Waitley.
How are you today?
So good, so good. I'm so excited to get into this conversation and all that. But before we do that, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Sold in a Snap. Sold in a Snap is Central Texas' premier real estate photography and marketing company, helping agents look incredible, stand out from the competition, and grow their business. We provide tours, photos, video, and marketing, everything that you need to market yourself and your listings with ease. Want to save time, wow your clients, and dominate your market? Visit soldinasnap.com and see how Sold in Snap can elevate your business or your listing today. Hey, you guys, how's it going?
Super.
Good.
Yes.
Well, I'm so excited to have you both in on the podcast today. We a lot of times get, single realtors in here that kind of work independently, but it is such a different dynamic when you're working together with your partner, with your husband, your wife, whoever it is. And I'm excited to dive into kind of the intricacies of all that. So before we get into some of the nitty gritty, let's have the backstory. So when did you guys get into real estate? How did it kind of come to be that you wanted to work together and all that?
You start.
Honestly, we've always, from the very beginning, pretty much worked together.
Yeah.
We started teaching together in Lorena.
Okay.
We taught at the high school. I was a computer science teacher. Valerie's an English teacher. They made the mistake of giving us the same lunch hour. And so we spent a lot of time because we actually like each other.
Yeah.
Which is kind of important.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. And so, but we worked together for a very long time. And, it's always been when people walk into our office, our desks have always faced each other, which is a good thing because there's times when, I start to lose it and, across the desk, I can see her going,
yeah, relax. It's okay.
No, don't say it.
Do your box breathing.
Yeah, do your box breathing, and vice versa. So it's been
no vice versa. I don't lose it.
No, never.
No.
Actually, she is probably the calm one of the two of us most of the time.
Yeah.
So, but we've worked together through all kinds of different industries and things.
Yeah.
We've owned businesses together as well.
Yeah.
So
Now, did you go from the school system? So Lorena ISD was where you were saying, so where did you go from Lorena?
Lorena, Washington State.
Okay.
So we were in Washington State for about 9 years, and in Washington State is where we owned our businesses.
Okay.
Or our business together. We own a franchise.
Okay, and then what brought you back to Central Texas?
Texas.
Yeah.
Texas
brought you back.
Texas brought us
Okay.
back,
We're a little
yeah.
bit more like the people in Texas than we were in Washington State. I mean, it's beautiful up there, but
we like Southern grace, Southern charm, pleasing. Thank
girls,
you. We had 2 girls, and so we wanted to bring them back to people who said yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, thank you, please.
Yeah,
those kind of things.
I love that.
So we got back to Texas, and then I started working in the ag industry.
Yeah,
and I had a lot of elderly farmers that needed advice on real estate because they were getting taken advantage of. People in farm and ranch, we get a lot of letters sent to older folks all the time saying, "Hey, we'll pay cash for your property," and when they bought it, or their grandparents bought it, it was $50 to $100 an acre, and so if somebody offers them $1,000 an acre, they're thinking, at that time, I guess that was about 2011, 2012 time frame. They're thinking they're great, that's a great deal. And so it really frustrated me that they were being taken advantage of. And so I told Valerie, I need to get my real estate license and really help them.
Yeah.
And so I was, doing both and still do both to this day, working in the ag industry and selling farm and ranch. So I have that hands-on with them.
Yeah.
But through that process, when our girls finished school and Valerie was teaching again at Midway, she left and decided to get her real estate license and
He persuaded me to get my real estate license. I might say I was kicking
need
and
help.
screaming. Yeah.
Did you need help? Was that what happened?
Dude, I always need help.
Well, he just said, that'd be something we could
Do together.
be back to working together, which we really like doing. And when I told my mother at the time that I was getting my license, she said, well, it's about time. She goes, you look at real estate all the time anyway. You might as well. I mean, she goes, I'm not surprised. So,
And because we've worked together in the past, of the two of us, she's much better of a negotiator than I am.
Yeah.
And so, it worked out really well. And, she focused on residential and then assisted me with farm and ranch.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that I assist her in the residential now as well.
Absolutely.
Am I right?
yes.
That's about it.
I can attest
Definitely,
as well.
definitely,
I've
yes.
seen you sweeping driveways.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I've seen you cutting lawns. I've seen you do all the big manual labor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And he has the reputation of being the filter looker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we're showing people properties, they're always like, oh, this is a Tom thing. Tom, first place he goes, he beelines it to the filter. If the filter's clean, we like the house. If
Step
the
number
filter's,
one.
if the filter's not clean, we have
Okay.
some concerns.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how we ended up doing this together, and we still do. When we go on appointments, if it's all possible, we go together.
Yeah.
Occasionally we get double booked.
Yeah,
But
most of the time we do we go together because
Yeah.
we bring a dual perspective, and that works well. And I'm not gonna I am gonna say I'm not gonna take this for granted. There's some safety elements that are a little bit different in the real estate market.
Sure.
And
Under the
I don't
scenery.
have those because we're together. So I
Yeah.
mean,
and I'm
it's,
intimidating, and so it's very protective.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty intimidated as
Yeah.
as we speak.
wait, should I have laughed like that?
Yeah, you should have.
I'm sorry.
Well, and then Valerie's role when we're showing real estate, farm and ranch stuff is she generally sits in when we're doing tours on the mule.
Yeah.
She'll usually sit in the seat behind me while the client sits next to me.
Sure.
So when we get a little bit too crazy or push it a little bit too far,
Or
with
an
the
inch
mule,
close to a cliff,
Or an inch
or
close
driving too fast
through
with
a river, I
yeah.
generally feel the hand on my shoulder, which is code for
I love you.
Tom, you need to not do this. And that's when I decide whether I want to gun it and go on through the river, or if I stop and listen to her. And generally, I'm better off
You've
if
made
I
it.
stop and listen.
You've both made it out alive so far. So
So far, and there's only one time that I stuck my mule, and it was when she was not with me. So I
There
didn't
you
have
go.
her there telling
See?
me that
Yeah.
it was wrong. So
well, I'm excited to get into some of these stories. I do want to pull it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So you guys started working together about 2017-ish. Is that when you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about those first couple times that you were trying to navigate. What's your role? What's my role? How do we best work together here? How did you, Tom, how did you use Valerie initially to help kind of you out?
Oh gosh, well, it was a little bit different in that she was going to focus on the residential,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and one of the things that is a core principle for us is competency in your field.
Yeah.
And so I maintained my competency in the farm and ranch field, and then helped her. And she already knew a lot about the housing. I mean, we bought and sold houses, personally. So she was very familiar with all that process. So really, on that side of it, I just got out of her way and tried to
Sure.
be there to help. But really, the first couple that we did, it really helps if you're doing farm and ranch and there's a house on the property. I was not great at
The house part of
the
it.
house part of it, and having her being able to come in and not only help provide the value of what that house would be when we're given CMAs and that kind of stuff, but then also she's got a really good eye as far as preparing that house to sell.
Yeah.
I can tell them, hey, mow the yards, let's clean the driveway, let's get your fences fixed and all that. Because you prep your ranch the same way.
Sure.
But on the house, I was always not sure about walking in somebody's house and saying, hey, to sell this, we need to do this, this, and this. And Valerie has a much better way of presenting that to a seller and being able to convince them that it needs to be done. So we kind of worked into it from, that perspective where there was land and a house.
Yeah.
But then, she just kind of dove right into the residential side
part of it.
because she's kind of a natural at it anyway. So
Yeah, so you guys are talking about kind of your, strengths and weaknesses and whatnot. Like, when you go into, let's say, a property, let's say you see this, this family wants you to sell their property. What's your approach and how do you divide it? You're doing this together, but Valerie, like, let's say for you, for example, are you going straight again to the residential part of it and like, okay, what do we got to do here? And then Tom, you're like, what does the outside look like? How do I need to make sure that this part's like, what's your process here?
I would argue that you're right, that I do go straight for the residential, the house side of it, and he goes for. So when we're doing like a residential listing, the primary for I really kind of take the lead on that.
Yeah.
When we're doing an estate listing that includes property
Yeah.
or a ranch that has a house, he takes lead. I will take the back seat on that. I don't. I'm not gonna step out of my lane. I know. I know
Sure.
I know where my lane is, and so they start talking about, what dirt is that? I don't. It's dirt. It's brown. I mean, and
Brown
he can.
dirt.
Yeah,
Brown
and
dirt.
he's like, no, that's a sandy clay loam, and that and like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. No, I had no idea. So I stay in my, I mean, we do have lanes that we
Yeah.
do stay in. And I think that serves a purpose. Now, not every couple that's doing real estate together has lanes, but we do.
Yeah.
And we do function that way. So when people call for advice and say, hey, Valerie, I'm getting ready to list 20 acres or 30 acres and I need some, I'm like, no, you can talk to Tom.
Yeah.
That's a Tom
Yeah.
thing.
Do you have a threshold of acreage? Like, okay, anything over, anything over 10 acres, Tom's the lead, or is it like, all right, it's over a half acre, Tom's the lead, or like, what does that look like?
Texas causes problems with that because, in all honesty, we have a lot of land per se. So we have large 5-acre parcels that people would consider small farms. No, that, I mean, I can handle 5 and below, but anything when you start talking equipment, you start talking, if it's going to need cultivation, what are the water concerns? Those are, those are going to be an absolute Tom question. He has an expertise and a fountain of knowledge that he pulls information out of his hat that I do not know where he gets it, but he knows it and he does a really good job with it. So yeah, I did compliment you.
Well, thank you. But I thought you were going to say something other than hat when you.
Oh, no, I was good.
That's good. Wow. Good job.
Yeah. Okay, so take me through your process. Okay, well, I guess you guys were in the school system for a while, so you probably built a nice community of humans that you knew, and then coming back into there, and then being at Midway for a little while. Do you typically get your properties, people that you know, word of mouth? How does that typically come to you? Yeah, all those things.
All the above.
Because I work in the ag industry. I deal with farmers from the Red River all the way down to Bell County, south of Temple.
Yeah,
and I spend my days driving country roads and talking with those guys all the time.
Yeah.
And so I would say a majority of my clients that are wanting to sell land are farmers. And there's a lot of transactions where we're helping families, buy land as well. So those contacts are from my experience in the ag industry, knowing the farmers and ranchers and, understanding what their business looks like, understanding what their needs are. And
so you mentioned kind of, staying in your lanes and like you do something and you do this thing. Well, I'm going to say this again. So you guys mentioned kind of staying in your lanes and you have your strengths. And is there a point where you guys had that conversation where like, I'll tell you what, I want to do these things and you do these things, or did it just kind of fall into place? Did it just kind of feel natural or?
Well, I think there's a couple of lanes. So one, when it comes to the specific land questions, lack of knowledge puts you out of your lane pretty quickly. So when I don't know something, I'm not gonna fake it. I'm not gonna enter that lane. And listening to him talk, I know he knows it. Other lanes that we have, so one of my lanes is contracts. So when we're looking at a contract and reviewing a contract, I have the patience and the verbal to read contracts, understand contracts. That's kind of my thing. So that's one he will often defer to me on, okay, read through this. Yeah. What does this look like? So those kind of things, it sometimes happens, I think, more just from an understanding of the other person's strengths. Yeah. Not as much of a, let's sit down and this is my lane, this is your lane. And I think a lot of it too comes from just the balance of knowing and recognizing each other's strengths. We also don't compete. Yeah. And I think that is one thing that I think helps a lot, is that because we do know with each other. So we know that, okay, whatever is his success is going to be mine, and vice versa. So it is understanding where we're strong and where we're not, and not competing in areas where we are not the strong.
That's correct.
Yeah. Has there ever been a situation where you do cross over a bit and you have strong feelings?
That's what you want us to do. So
well,
yeah.
I mean, I've got to get listeners, okay?
I know, right?
So I need you to
we
come.
Talked about this. We actually practiced. We tried fighting yesterday.
We tried faking an argument.
Yeah,
it didn't work out.
Well, we tried.
We thought it'd be entertaining.
We thought it'd be a lot more entertaining to throw a good argument in there. I mean, you never listen, right? It was something like that. Come on, you're supposed to argue back. You're not.
Yeah. I'm just gonna let you win because I know my place.
So communication is key. Yeah, understanding. Seriously though, like if we're thinking about properties, I mean, I'm sure there's some crossover. Mm-hmm. Has there been situations where it's like, I really feel like we need to go this direction, and Tom, you feel like we need to go that direction?
Well, when those kind of situations arise, and a lot of it, I wouldn't say it's necessarily disagreement, but we'll look at when we're preparing a CMA and we're looking at values, and that's a place where we collaborate. Both, because I want her to double check me, and I can double check her, and we'll look at she may have look at the CMA and look at all the solds and all the competition and come up to a different number, and then we'll talk about it and say, okay, well, why do you think this? And generally, if one of us is if we're way off, one of us maybe missed something as we were kind of going through it, or maybe looked at a property differently. And so in that kind of situation, we have a healthy discussion. I don't think we've ever had a...
Yeah, see, this is the thing. I mean, in all candor, and this is what's really hard, is that it sounds almost fake to say that, well, you never argue or you never fight about this. And it sounds like, come on, you've got it. But I am literally thinking, okay, what is one? And it's not been a disagreement. There's never been a disagreement over, as we are, processing like a CMA.
Yeah.
Or where it gets uncomfortable, or where it gets tense, that we kind of have to walk through is the human side of it. Like if we're dealing with challenging people, and then that gets where we will get agitated. And even then, if I snap, if I say something at a time, saying, in all fairness, that wasn't you. It's because, the situation is driving me crazy. Yeah. So it's not. I think, but I don't think every couple can work together, to be perfectly in pure candor. And I think one of the reasons, the couple of reasons I think that we do work well together, is we do communicate.
Okay.
And I'm not going to say we communicate well, but we do communicate well. I mean, like a lot. We talk. And we don't compete. And with the combination of the two.
We kind of like each other most of the time.
Well, I mean, I like you. Yeah. So it works out. Yeah.
So
and I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you said that, each of your successes
exactly
are a success for yourself. Mm-hmm. And I think that, when you're in a space that, competition isn't something that is getting in the way of celebrating your partner, it's a huge deal, and so you get to celebrate together, your successes are together. And if you're going that direction, you're not going to find a lot to argue about, so
we find it.
I think
we argue occasionally.
We're strong. We're very strong people. We're very independent, but I think the other thing that happens is we just decided we were going to be independent together, so that worked out well. But I do think if, people who are considering working together, the focus that you are on the same team, and we're like that. We're like that with our office though too. I mean, that's just kind of who we are as people. We want other people to succeed. It's not just us. So I mean, that's kind of our personality.
Yeah. This is so great, you guys, and I really appreciate the insight on this. I do want to ask you though, if for some of our listeners who are thinking about partnering up with somebody, whether it's their spouse, or maybe just somebody in the office, like you guys go together and do it together. What is some advice that you might have that, first of all, for them to kind of get started, or maybe even have like an interview to say like, do we want to do this together, or what would you what kind of advice would you give somebody looking at that?
So there's two parts to that question. So the first part, anybody wanting to partner up, and an advantage that I would say, or of advice that I would say is, look where you're weak, and then look where they can enhance that. And a lot of people try to partner up with people that are exactly like them. Mm-hmm. That actually is more of a problem than a help. And so if you're partnering up with somebody who's exactly like you, then you're just going to be weak in the exact same area. Yeah. Partner up with somebody who is strong in this area where you're not. Now you've got it's stronger altogether, and it's really better to do that. And then set up communication. Now ours comes naturally from 34 years of marriage. I think if you're trying to do that with somebody who you don't know, you've got to set up some communication ideas, standards, parameters, maybe even some texting, like communication limits. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm with my family. I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not going to text you back, kind of thing. I think you got to set up those parameters. But from the get-go, if you walk into it with that expectation of, okay, I may not like how this person does ABC.
Sure.
It's different from mine. But that's a good thing. Can be a good thing, because it could be an area where you are weak or stronger.
Yeah. Give me an example where that has really benefited you and Tom. And you've kind of been talking about this a little bit, but do you have a good example where, maybe you're like, I just don't know. So let me get Tom on the phone for you.
Unquestionably, a lot of times when we are writing ideas, proposals, feedback to our clients, we co-write. He sits down, he's got ideas in his head, he sits down, he puts them in there. I'll come back behind him, and then I will add, edit, or not.
Or maybe soften.
Sometimes in some cases soften. But that, that add, edit, or not, just that it makes it where it's a much better response to, maybe we're suggesting us the next steps in their transaction, or whether or not we're providing feedback on how the listing is going.
Yeah.
By co-writing, we bring each other's strengths in.
Yeah.
And
Valerie's a lot more numbers oriented than I am.
Yeah.
And so there's times where, if you're responding to an offer, or making an offer, instead of just writing the offer, we like to make sure that we provide the reasoning behind the offer. We try to put in details of, hey, you're asking this much per square foot, but your asking price does not support it. Here's what we see. If you're seeing something different, please provide it to us. And Valerie's really good at tactfully doing that, because the thing is, this is when you're dealing with real estate, that's a massive transaction. This is life money. This is your life saved. This is a huge investment. And so when you go into it, and you know what, every one of those dollars counts.
Sure.
And so we want to represent both our, by whatever our client is, we want to get we don't want to, go out there and screw anybody. We want to make sure that a fair price is being paid or asked for that piece of property. Justifiable. And a lot of times that takes an education process of, why our offer is different. And one of the things that Valerie does well with that is because she words it well, and, she's adds to her strength of negotiation. So when I need it. I'm sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I think that's an education standpoint. It's a good way of talking about it. Tom's very matter of fact.
Oh yeah, I'm very direct.
It's you need to do this,
Yeah.
and that's great. But the educator in me will come in and say, you need to do this because, so he does
Sure.
what needs to be done, and I come in and give him
She
the
does the
why,
because.
and I'm the because, and then it creates a good package that we can present to our clients.
Well, and I guess this comes back to, being able to play off each other's differences.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
both can be strengths, but strengths in a different way. Like
Absolutely.
you working in, farming, ranching, agriculture, they might want like, just give it to me straight.
Yeah.
I don't want to dance around it. Just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
And you being in residential, Valerie, you might be wanting to like, hey, we got to sugarcoat it a little bit, like I need to help you understand this. Like, and this is why it is this, you know? So, and what a great, way to be able to complement each other, in those two spaces.
But that is really a good point. I am very direct, and then she really does soften it and educate. So
yeah. But both not necessarily wrong, and both not necessarily right. Both just right for the right situation.
I was the kind of parent to do it because I told you that's the way I wanted it, and Valerie would come in and say, "Okay, here's why you don't want to jump off the top of the couch, and you might break your arm." And I'm like, "Get off the couch!" You know?
Yeah. That's funny because my wife and I are the opposite. I am now let me help you understand why that you shouldn't do these things, and my wife is like, go to your room. Do you understand why you're going to your room? Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So what would you say some of the challenges that we don't see behind the scenes that might be a little bit tricky, like when you're balancing marriage, family life, business? Like, what are some of those things?
Well, I would have to say that, the hard part is when you're working together, it's both a blessing and it's a challenge in that time. We always make the joke is we like working for each other because we choose what hours we work, and it turns out to be 24/7, 365 days a year, because inevitably
when you said with the question asked, what is the challenge in balancing life and work, I was like, well, balance,
that's the challenge.
That's the challenge. Balance is the challenge.
Because there's times, even this year, a deal was happening over Easter, and we're coloring Easter eggs, and a client needed attention because there was activity. And so, the grandparent in me and the parent in me says, you know what, it'll wait till after Easter. But at the same time, that wasn't serving our client right. And so
there's a benefit and a challenge to that. So the benefit is one of us can sneak off, take care, do A, B, and C, and they come back. And that's great.
Usually we're crabby when we come back.
Yeah, then we have to be in it. But the balance part, so this is one of those things that that also references back when people ask, pick somebody who is has the strengths or has different strengths than you do. The one thing that we are exactly like is we work too much. We are, and I don't mean that to sound, we work too much, but I mean, that's just kind of our coping in a lot of ways is we just work. That's just kind of what we do. And so we have found that we have really, and we're both like that. It would be helpful if one of us was a little less of a worker than the other. Then we could pull us back and say, stop, let's go golf. Let's go do something.
Let's go color Easter eggs.
Yeah, let's color Easter eggs. Yeah, exactly. So, but because we do both work, there is time where, again, one can jump in, take care of the task real quickly, and get back. And so we are also very efficient, so that there's a benefit. There's a benefit to that, but the biggest challenge is balance.
Yeah,
it's when you work with your spouse, you're always thinking about something, about this deal and that deal, and
the
what's
conversation goes. Even though you're like, okay, we're gonna let's just go to Dallas today and have dinner and do something fun, and then you're listening to music, having conversation, and then all of a sudden an idea hits you about one of the properties, one of the listings you have, and you're like, oh, hey, what about? And then all of a sudden you're back in work mode, and you're like, oh, so close.
Yeah. We've even tried things like we're gonna have what we called what was the dinner that we were gonna have on Fridays?
Our boardroom.
Our boardroom. We were gonna have our boardroom,
which includes
meeting.
the whole family,
right? And we started inviting the whole, and our kids live in town too, so that's great. And so we were gonna have boardroom meetings on Friday, which was supposed to be code for we weren't gonna work on Friday. No, that didn't work. So we were going to take Mondays off and go golf, and no, that didn't work. And so the balance is the biggest challenge.
We haven't mastered that one yet.
So you did mention earlier, if you were to be considering going into a partnership in real estate, that would be something that you want to be intentional with,
Yes.
and probably a little easier if it's not a marriage, maybe it's two partners that, again, maybe they're different, trust each other, want to do it together, but like, hey, at such or maybe, taking nights off where it's like, I got Tuesday nights, you got Wednesday nights or whatever. So if the client contacts us, you're on call or whatever.
Right.
And there's some of those partnerships that exist that do that very well. And that is the benefit to that is, you actually can set some intentional time off, but, I like to spend my intentional time off with my wife. Yeah. So if we both take it off, then we're not, we're not good.
You're binge watching something on Netflix. You roll over at 9:30. It's like, that property. I was just thinking,
too many times.
Are those comps right?
Right. Well, but I will tell you, there is, if somebody is thinking, if a couple is thinking about doing real estate together, there is the advantage that with real estate, our hours are not a good set 9 to 5. You can't. They're all over the place. Yeah. So there's several times where Tom and I have looked at each other and said, "Well, yeah, it's a Saturday, and it's 4:00 on a Saturday, and instead of going out to eat with everybody else, we're going to a listing appointment." But at least we're together, and there's an advantage. I mean, what if he was going out to eat and I had to go to a listing appointment by myself? So there's advantages.
I was speaking with Camille, a few podcasts ago, and she was mentioning that, one of the greatest inventions since she has been in real estate for the past 40 years was the cell phone, and she said that actually saves her time, even though it makes her available more often.
Absolutely.
So you're not locked into that, that space for 8 hours. You can spread out that, your business into a 24-hour period if you needed to. So even though you're working, quote unquote, all day, all the time, 365, really you're available that time and you're able to, respond, but it's not necessarily you're working 24 hours a day.
I think it's part of that with the cell phone is, and it's one of the things that we continue to try to work on is, there are days that you wake up and you look, there's days where you go 8 to midnight one day and you just feel like it's going crazy. But then there's also days where you wake up and if you don't have that, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, what do we need to do? Do we need to go prospect? I think there's one of the things that we are not good at, but have tried to do in the past is make sure that if
we would give advice to other people to do.
Try to be intentional about, hey, you know what? It's okay. We don't have any appointments this morning. Let's go do something fun. Let's go to breakfast. Let's have some intentional time together. And you know what?
That's great advice.
And then don't beat yourself up if you do end up talking about real estate. It's natural, but maybe go at least try to do something fun. And, we started golfing a couple years ago. We've golfed in the past, but we really tried to be intentional. We were great for about a year where we were going. And then it got busy again. And then you got out of the habit and you got to give yourself permission to say, okay, let's start that up and take time. Because you know what, even to your point with the cell phone, even if you get called, you can, take the call quietly behind the cart while your wife is swinging the golf club. And you can still service people and then say, we can get back to you here in a couple hours when we're finished losing balls on the golf course.
Were you like, let me call you back at 4?
Hey, that's great.
Mine would be, let me call you back at plunk, wherever there's water.
Great at finding water.
Actually, we did find a complimentary thing for the two of us with Farm and Ranch, and that is, water in Texas is kind of king, so it's a big commodity. I have discovered that when I swing a golf club and hit a ball, I can find water better than anybody. So on
even if it's behind you.
Yeah, even if it's behind, it doesn't matter. So
if you're looking for a listing with water, maybe
exactly.
You know what we're gonna put?
That's my.
We're gonna put Valerie's information in the show notes below. If you need to find property with water, she's got you.
I will. My golf ball will find it better than anybody. So I've got you covered. I'm better than those little. What are those things called?
Witches.
Twitches. Yeah.
Well, you guys, this has been such a great conversation, and I'm kind of bummed that it's coming to a close. But before we do close today, I wanted to leave you guys with the last tidbit of information or something you want to leave with our listeners. What you got?
You got anything?
Yeah. Well, on the fill in part, you tell them, and then I'll see if I need to fill in.
Yeah, or soften it.
Or soften it a little bit. There you go.
Honestly, for us, even when you work in real estate, I guess in life in general. We really try to be just authentically who we are. Sure. And not try to be someone we're not. And it's when we are more authentic, even just in our relationship, in our marriage, that it works the best. And it works the best in real estate too, is if you just show up and you are who you are. Yeah. Did that soften it?
Yeah, I was going.
Is there any filler?
No filler to that at all. And kind of caught me off guard. You surprised me. 34 years of marriage, and I got surprised by not that I haven't heard him say authenticity before, but I was just going to say balance and communication are key.
Well, they work well together.
Yeah. So balance, communication, and authenticity. There awesome. You go.
Well, you guys, that's actually going to lead us right into today's tip of the week, which is communication. Communication matters just as much inside your business as it does with your clients. Clear expectations, defined roles, and mutual respect can make partnerships, whether a spouse, team member, or vendor. Clear expectations, defined roles, and mutual respect can make partnerships, whether a spouse, team member, or vendor, much more successful and far less stressful. Valerie, Tom, thank you so much for being on here. You guys, if you want to get a hold of these guys and looking at agriculture, residential, or both, we're going to put their information in the show notes below. All right, so before we sign off, I want to thank our sponsors for today, which is The Doors of Waco. Step into the story of Waco one door at a time. The Doors of Waco is a beautifully crafted coffee table book featuring stunning photography and the hidden character behind some of Waco's most iconic entrances. Whether displayed in your home, office, Airbnb, or gifted to a client, it's a meaningful way to show a love for Waco. It also makes perfect closing gift for realtors looking to give something local, memorable, and lasting. Open the door to your copy today at thedoorsofwaco.com. Thanks you guys so much for being on today, and we'll catch you on the next one.
And that's today's pour. Thanks for spilling the real tea with us. Don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss the next hot pour of real estate talk. And remember, this is just the tea, not legal, real estate, or financial advice.